is when you go into the life review. That's this little moment where you're seeing anything bad that you ever did, you're seeing anything good that you ever did, and when you're in that life review, you notice that it doesn't matter the big things you're doing. It
Really?
matters how you treat your kids, how you treat your spouse, how you treat the random gas station attendant,
Mm-hmm.
the barista,
Yeah.
the drive-through person. That's what matters. It's the little things in between
Yeah.
that we're making waves of light.
Welcome to Living God's Light, a podcast to help you strengthen your spirituality and your connection with God. We are so happy to have you as a part of the Living God's Light family.
So, Vinny, how was your weekend?
It was awesome.
Yeah.
Had a great weekend. Got a lot of really good stuff done. Had some great sessions. Really good weekend. How about yours?
Oh, it was awesome. My in-laws were here, and I am one of the lucky few in the world that I just love my in-laws. You know, they're really great, and they just have an abundance of love for our kids. So when they're here, it's awesome. And we know Lynn is having a great week, had a great weekend because he's not here and he's on vacation. So we're
He's
excusing
off
him today.
gallivanting across the seas, as well as visiting. Probably was he going to go to Hogwarts? And no, he's going to Florida though. So doing some
Yeah.
fun
He's doing
stuff
some
in
Disney.
Florida. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I'm like you. I'm lucky to have some awesome in-laws. I
Are
love
you
my in-laws. Yeah.
good? That's awesome.
Make sure you record that. I love my in-laws. Just kidding. I have really awesome in-laws. I actually really enjoy all of them. I love them. Yeah.
That's awesome. It's so good. So what's been going on like with you and sessions and I don't know. I always
Well, I
love hearing
had
where you're at.
a neat experience just the other day. I was doing some work. All of a sudden, some really high level or high energy spirits came in, and we were just having fun, bringing through that high vibrational energy, and something that resonated with me. One of the things that was coming through is that, there's a lot of different ways that this has been said in the past, but the way it came to me is being kind is far more powerful than being correct.
Ooh. Doesn't that totally kind of match with what we've talked about the past few episodes too?
Mm-hmm.
Being kind. Say it one more time.
Being kind is far more is far more powerful than being correct.
Yeah.
Because here's one thing I notice. If you're in my world, in my life, I know hundreds of people that have died and come back. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
The one thing that is an underlying theme in all of these experiences is when you go into the life review. That's this little moment where you're seeing anything bad that you ever did, you're seeing anything good that you ever did, and when you're in that life review, you notice that it doesn't matter the big things you're doing. It
Really?
matters how you treat your kids, how you treat your spouse, how you treat the random gas station attendant, the barista,
Yeah.
the drive-through person. That's what matters. It's the little things in between
Yeah.
that we're making waves of light.
So when you were in your life review, I mean, if you were not kind, what was that like?
Sadness.
Yeah. Well, I'm
But
just curious, like, what
yeah,
was the experience
but I
like?
got to feel it was really, really mind-blowing to see that sometimes when I was just being kind of aggressive with my conversation or aggressive with my manners, that it was highly impacting people and shutting them down and not letting them open up and communicate what they wanted to communicate. But
Wow.
in my life review, I was seeing it from inside them. So I was feeling their feelings, listening to this special guy,
Yeah.
Vinny,
Yeah.
like shutting him down, right?
Wow.
So there, in fact, there was a childhood friend. He's a friend now. Growing up, I thought he was a bully, and what's funny, he thought I was a bully.
Really?
Yeah, and here I was growing up thinking he's bullying me, he's doing this, and he thought the
Yeah.
same thing towards me. And
Yeah.
and all we were doing was being just like each other. That's why we didn't like each other, is because we were seeing the insecurity of ourselves in the other.
Yeah.
And so he would point it out in me, I'd point it out in him, and now he's an awesome friend. Yeah.
That's cool. That's super cool how that's come full circle. I'm just sitting here thinking about like how motivating to keep that perspective to that, I might have a life review when I pass. And if I have to experience all the negative that I put on other people, and I'm
Yeah.
sure there's times I've done it.
Well, we all have. We're human, right? So when we get frustrated, we make mistakes. We say things that are mistakes.
Yeah.
And
Totally.
what's sad is we're doing it because we're feeling a lack of love inwardly. And what it does is it broadcasts a lack of love outwardly.
Oh,
But what's cool is in life, we have this opportunity. Oh, I'm feeling bad. I don't feel love. So start giving love, and then we start feeling it.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
really a beautiful process.
Well, and one of the coolest things in my own experience is that when I ask to feel the love that God has for somebody else, I mean, I have to actively ask for that, right? God, how do you feel about that person? It is sometimes overwhelming and just overcomes. And my whole, I change in that moment because I want to just keep feeling that love towards that person. And obviously my response is not going to be what it was 10 minutes before that, because I just see them in a whole different light. And that's been a new thing that I've discovered, and it's really powerful.
Yeah, that is powerful, because that's a love that is being broadcast to all beings. Source loves every creation, all creation.
Yeah.
And what's neat is when you really get into that process of opening your mind to the flow of source love or God's love towards anything and everything,
Yeah.
you're opening up yourself to the love God has for you.
Yeah. May I keep that perspective, please?
Yeah. keep it as my daily reminder or my daily paradigm, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like I'm blinding my own self at times. I just get so stuck in my stuff that that flow is not coming over me, but it's probably in my own behaviors, I would guess, right? It's in my own behaviors and stuff that I'm allowing into my space that's probably bogging me down.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to sort this out.
Well, it's a lot of times our expectation, it robs us of our success. It does. Because successes are there, but we won't see them because we're blinded by expectation.
Yeah. I had an incredible therapist tell me that expectations are predetermined disappointments.
They are. Well, because they're movable. I've seen it. I've seen it when I'm working with couples. I've seen it when I'm working with individuals, that I like to set the intention from the beginning of any session, right? And the reason I like to set that, number one, it starts giving us a direction. It also gives us a finish line, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Like once you accomplish that, you've crossed the finish line.
Yeah.
But I've noticed with certain individuals, they set that intention, and after we complete that, they've moved it already. They've moved the intention to like, no, I said this. And I go, oh, actually, on some sessions I will record
Yeah.
so that they can go back and reflect. And a couple times on those recordings, I'm like, let's go back and look.
Yeah.
Here, I'll give you the link. And they go back and they're like, oh yeah, you're right. It was the intention that that they had set. They were changing it in their mind as they accomplished it.
So why would we do that? Like, what causes us to do that?
It's an emotion called overjoy. And what that is as a child, at some point, you were experiencing a tremendous amount of joy, and someone came up and wrecked it. And so there's this self-protectionary measure now. Don't allow yourself too much joy or someone can steal it. And that's not a real thing. That's like
No. Yeah.
it's a self-sabotage for sure.
Yeah.
But that's how it starts, is because we did have a perceived joy, only to find out that led to some type of mini trauma or major trauma.
Yeah.
And sometimes the mini traumas get saved in us just as big as the major traumas.
Wow. You're hitting on some points in me. I've been in therapy for a while, and it's been very helpful. And what you're saying hits totally home. I've found that most of my behaviors that maybe I don't love, they stem from a protection point that I've
100%,
created in myself. Like, okay, well, that didn't feel good, so I'm going to set this up so to make sure I don't do that again. And it ends up being just a negative pattern that builds and builds and builds over time. I wish I had a good example at the top of my mind, but you're totally hitting on.
Well, if you look at 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds, they are the same person everywhere they go. When they're excited, the whole world knows it. They're running around.
Are you talking about my son?
Or my son, right? Or my daughter when she was 5 or 6,
Yeah.
The whole world knows when they're experiencing joy or excitement. But think about that. By the time we're 30, 40, 50, 60, our insides want to be doing the 5-year-old runaround. This is amazing. But on the outside, we're going, oh, that's all right. Like we're dulling it so far down, and it's all that protectionary measure. What I love, though, is go visit and spend time with an 85-year-old or a 90-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
They get just as excited about ice cream as the 4-year-old.
Yeah.
Now they might not be able to run around like they used to, but they'll talk like they are. Some of them can, though. Some of those 90-year-olds are movers and shakers.
Heck yeah. I love that. Oh my goodness.
I
It's
had
that authenticity, right?
It is.
Young age and then older. What do we get? Do we get that heavenly perspective back? Why do we get that back when we're older?
Because we're so worried about what other people think as we move towards middle age.
Oh, yeah.
And then as we move away from it, we're caring less and less and less. Think about it.
Yeah.
In your 20s, you're kind of caring, but you're only caring about what other people think for attractability, right? Attractiveness is so important in your 20s.
Yeah.
Then you get to your 30s, and some of those 20-year-olds, they're now 30, but they're still stuck in trying to make the world love them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes they get to their 40s and 50s, they're still stuck trying to make the world love them. Well, guess what? The world can't love you more than you can love you. You have to begin to learn how to love you.
Yeah.
And more importantly, you have to begin to learn how to allow love to be you.
Allow love to be me.
Yeah. Think about this. When someone is newly in love, doesn't matter the circumstances. When they are newly in love, the universe changes around them. The weather's beautiful. Traffic went amazing. They
Yeah.
found the best parking spot in the entire parking lot.
Yeah.
People are giving them things for free. They are broadcasting a positive energy of love.
Mm-hmm.
And now, granted, us humans, we're quick to start forgetting things and we're quick to start getting used to things. So that only lasts for so long. But
Yeah.
that equation that works when you're newly in love, that works every day. So learn how to be in love with life every day.
So what is something I can do today to help me be in
So
love with life?
here's the ticket. It's not about anything you can do. It's about loving what you can or can't do. It's a
Okay.
paradigm.
Okay.
So one thing that works for me, and I use this all the time, it's a little extreme, but it works really, really well. I'm about to do something. I will ask myself, if I am never allowed to do this ever again in my life, how am I going to do this right now?
Ooh.
And it changes it. I could be doing the dishes. I could be trimming a tree. I could be helping my daughter with her homework. I could be just listening to her talk.
Wow. Yeah,
And I'll ask myself that.
yeah. I'm going to approach things a little differently today.
Well, it's funny, because you do have to be cognizant of what's coming up next in your life, right?
Absolutely.
We all live off schedules. We've got time things. We've got limited energy, but truly love is an unlimited energy. So the more you can see what you're doing on an average day with love, the more you have energy to do more.
Yeah. And gosh, to bring it back to that first quote you said, if I am tapped into that love energy, I'm going to be kind,
Yeah.
And
Well, it's
kindness.
almost easy to be kind when you're
Yeah.
feeling love, but love
Yeah.
inwardly and outwardly, both. Yeah.
The inwardly part. We're going to get this, people.
Well, here's how you know you got it. You already graduated from this life. That's how you know you got it, right? Or at least you're close enough. You're about to graduate. Boom, you graduate.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I love this. Kindness is far greater than being correct. Is that what you
Correct.
said?
Yeah. So being kind is far more powerful than being correct. Yeah.
I love it.
And you know what? I think this stems off of, I had a mentor of mine named Della Reese. She introduced me to Maya Angelou and her entire works.
Okay.
And I fell in love because Maya Angelou, even though, this Black woman who was, grown up in a very abusive situation. I'm Mr. White Boy over here, but I was raised in a very abusive situation. So here I am, feeling so much empathy for this character of a little girl who decided not to speak.
Yeah.
For many years. And she has a famous saying that people will always forget what you teach them, but they'll never forget how you make them feel. And that when Della taught that to me, because I was saying some things that were not so nice about my coworkers, and Della overheard it, and she just put her arm on me and mentioned that just in passing, very quickly, but so tenderly and lovingly. It affected me, and then I realized my own mother was an example of this my whole life.
Really?
That she was so focused on making others feel good about their lives. But at her own demise, she did that most of the time. But it was still a good example. The outward energy was a good example. And I feel like all of that is what led me to this understanding that being kind is far more powerful than being correct.
Yeah.
Because being kind builds strength with those around you and those you care about. Being correct is impartial.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to work on this. I feel like for myself, being kind kind of can come easy.
Yeah.
But with that quote in mind, if somebody does say something or they just behave in a way that isn't how I would choose to behave, put it aside. And it's the kindness and the love that matters. And I love that story you just shared, because I have always admired when somebody makes me feel like I matter to them. Right.
Yeah.
And I want to be that person. I don't know if I am. I want to be, but I don't know if I am. But if I can operate as those people do, and they're wonderful examples to me, then I'm going to start emitting that light as well. Right?
Absolutely. By the
Yeah.
way, have I told you you matter quite a bit for me, my family, and for living God's light? So,
Oh,
Alyssa, you matter to us for
Thank
sure.
Thank
And
you.
I know Josh feels the same way too. And your kids.
Yeah.
You're like your kid's superhero, the same way Josh is too. So,
Oh,
yeah.
thank you for saying that. Thank you. Yeah, it means a lot. Well, is there anything else you want to leave?
I'll add one last thing to this, that it's 10 times easier to correct in hindsight than it is to correct in the moment. So even though something's not correct, you can still be kind about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then later, when the moment has passed, seek out the correction in hindsight.
Okay.
And that way it allows so much grace
Yeah.
that the person is not on the stage with the lights on them, and you're not tearing them down there or trying to correct them there. You're able to correct in hindsight and in a time where they're in a better place too.
Yeah.
And still using that powerful kindness.
I like that. And I do think that the people that are like arm's length from us, that's easy to do. It's actually the relationship, like our
Up close.
spouses.
Yeah,
The
up
really
close
super
and
up close
personal,
one,
yeah.
that it's hard to step away.
Yeah, I've learned a very powerful response to something being said to me is, that's interesting. Like when I hear someone really close to me, you're wrong, Vinny. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. And I don't try to defend him or debate him or anything. Now later, when they're all calmed down,
Right.
I'll show them why I felt that was interesting. And in a loving way, they're like, why didn't you tell him? I didn't want to confront you. It was not the right time or place.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Well, and especially if we're feeling a little triggered too, there's definitely moments where I know I've felt triggered and it's just reactionary rather than actually considering how I would like to respond.
I actually love being triggered. Isn't
Do
that
you?
weird? I love it. Because to me, it's like a magnifying glass on somewhere I need to heal, or I need to correct something in me. Not on the outside world. I'll give you a perfect example. We were running to a dentist appointment. My schedule's crazy, so I have one of the few dentists that will meet with me at night instead of during the day, because my prime hours during the day. We're driving, we're running late, and this big red truck like comes out of nowhere, and it pretty much it was so close to causing 3 accidents in a row.
Oh no.
And it went through, and I was like, that guy, and I wanted to say so much negative and just blast out of me.
Yeah.
And then I hear my own consciousness say, wow, look at you getting so aggravated over that. Why do you think you're so aggravated over that? And then they showed me in my early 20s, my big red lifted Jeep with big tires. And I was like roaring through the roads. And I was like, oh, that's why it triggers me.
Yeah.
I was that truck at one point,
Yeah.
completely taking disregard for anyone's life around me,
Right.
because I was so focused on me.
Yeah.
And I have to say, though, that was my pre-death me. So a very different version of me, but it was still me. And I'm so grateful for that opportunity. My pump was or my heart was pumping, my adrenaline was going. I
Yeah.
had a little shake to me, and as soon as I had that trigger realization, I focused in on it, and I started loving the old version of me. The old version that I was not proud of, the old version that I don't even like publicly talking about, because that old version did a lot of dumb stuff. But I started to learn to focus in on that old version of me and loving it. Instead of thinking that was the enemy me or that was the old me, I look at it as that's just a different me over there. And it made it also easier to see that truck as it was cutting off like 30 more cars up the way, to say, hey, bud, you're okay. You're loved. You don't need to prove anything. You're being loved. And here's the coolest thing. Andrea's witness to this. The second I was processed the love part of it, the truck slowed down, went into the left lane, and stayed there.
Really?
And stopped doing all the cutting off, and it was really neat. Now, my ego did say, oh, it's probably because he saw a cop, but he didn't. I got up to him and he didn't. He didn't see a police officer. So it was a neat little experience, and welcome to a moment in my life. Sometimes things are funny and silly, but they're always learning opportunities. Every time I trigger, I really love it.
Yeah.
To me, it's an opportunity to learn.
Yeah, I can see the route that you just, you kind of just taught me of showing that love and that kindness towards yourself, old version of you, and then it's easier to show it outwards. So, wow, that's really cool.
Because everything's energy. Everything's energy. Our thoughts are energy. We are energy. The actions we're taking are energy. But why is it this action bothers me, but all these other actions don't? I think of that like a scientist. It's a neat opportunity. Yeah. There's something you get to grow here. There's something you get to heal here. Right. And so I get a little excited every time I get triggered. Unfortunately, it's getting less and less and less.
Oh, dang it.
The better I'm doing, I'm trigger less and less and less. But now I get to coach others on their triggers, and I do love that.
Yeah, that's really cool.
I get to address it live as they're triggering sometimes.
Really? Yeah. Well, I got some work to do. I'm definitely...
We all do.
Easily, So I love this. I think this is a great lesson that I'm going to sit on like all day today. And, my kids tend to trigger me the most.
That's part of being a parent. That's part of being a parent. Well, because think about it. The worst day of your child is a reflection of your worst day as a child.
Yeah.
It is. No wonder we trigger, right? We were the naughty little child at one point. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna work on this.
But also our children are mini me's, right? So they go out in the public world and they're doing things like, I would never do that. But if you trigger, you probably did.
Yeah. Those are the hard moments when it's like, that was definitely me.
Yeah.
So it's all right though. I love this. I think this is a great spot to leave with our listeners. I just want to send love and gratitude to our listeners. Again, we love the comments that you're leaving. We love the energy that is coming back to us so that we can keep creating content. And Vinney, thank you so much for this wonderful message. I think it's going to be received very well.
Alyssa, thank you for making it making it look and sound very nice.
Absolutely.
Thank you for making this something that is digestible, because me without the Alyssa filter, without you making it work right, it's less digestible. Yeah.
Well,
thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Much appreciated, Alyssa.
Yeah, thank you. And next time we'll definitely have Lynn here. And
yes, Lynn, we miss you on this episode, but we know you're having fun.
Yep.
So we're a little envious. Just a little.
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining us on the Living God's Light podcast. You can help keep the show going through getting merch at livinggodslight.com or contributing what you think the show is worth on our website or by going through Patreon. Thank you for sharing your light with the world. You are making a difference, and we love you.